Hi Team Chemistry, this is Mrs. Gallegos, and today we're going to learn how to draw orbital diagrams. First thing I need you to do is to go into Schoology, into the Unit 4 folder, and find the Distance Learning Calendar. Click on the links to the orbital diagram and the Aufbau diagram. You'll be needing both of those today. When you're done with this video, you will complete problems 1 through 4, 7 through 8, and 9 through 14, and then submit those to Schoology. So last time we met, in Activity 5, we learned the electron structure can be shown as an orbital diagram or as an electron configuration. Today we're going to learn how to draw these orbital diagrams for other elements. So the first kind of problem we're going to solve is looking at the diagram, the orbital diagram, and determining the element. So we'll do number 1 together, and then later you'll do 2, 3, and 4. We're skipping 5 and 6. So the way we solve these problems are we count the number of electrons in the orbital diagram. And then we know that the number of electrons is equal to the number of protons, and we can look up protons in the periodic table. So if you count in number 1, you'll discover you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 electrons. So I look up over here, and element number 20 is calcium. So that is the answer to number 1. So in your notebooks, go ahead and finish 2, 3, and 4 on your own. The next kind of problem is where we identify a mistake that was made in the electron configuration. So if you look at number 7, you'll see that this orbital only has 1 electron in it. And so we know that we are not following the Aufbau principle, which tells us you must fill up one level before you go to the next. And so the correct way of drawing this would be to put an arrow in here spinning down, which would be this arrow actually, and then this box right here would be empty. So go ahead and solve problem number 8 on your own in your notebook, and then I'll post the answer key later for you to check your answers. Here's the diagram I need to explain to you how to use. It's a great diagram. You'll be able to always have this on any test that you have. And this is called the Aufbau diagram. It shows us the order that the sublevels are filled. So we always start right here at the beginning of the arrow, and then we follow it to the end. So 1s is filled first, then we go to the beginning of the next arrow and go down, and so 2s is filled next. Then we start at the beginning of the next arrow and we see 2p and then 3s. And then we round back, 3p, then 4s. And then we round 3d, 4p, 5s. And then 4d, 5b, 6s, and so on. You might have noticed that we have some new sublevels that we didn't study in our previous activity. So I'd like to just show you how many orbitals are in each of these sublevels. So the D sublevel has 5 orbitals in it, which means it can hold a total of 10 electrons. And then the F sublevel has 7, yikes, 7 orbitals in it. And it can hold 4, that's one seriously weird looking orbital diagram, and it can hold 14 electrons in it. So this is how we read the Aufbau diagram, and it will allow us to know which orbital gets filled next. So we're going to use that here to draw orbital diagrams for hydrogen, boron, and sodium. And then you will, after this video is over, do krypton, chromium, and phosphorus on your own. So first we'll do hydrogen. So first I go to the periodic table and I find out how many electrons hydrogen has. It has 1. So then I go to my Aufbau diagram and I look at what's the lowest orbital what's the first orbital to be filled? And that will be 1s. So I label my box and then I put in one arrow to show hydrogen's 1 electron. Now let's do boron. Boron is over here. It's the 5th electron, the 5th element. So it has 5 electrons. So if we look at the Aufbau, the first 2 will be in a 1s orbital. So I'm going to label this 1s. And then I finish my arrow, I go back to the beginning of the next one, and so the next 2 electrons will be in 2s. So I'll draw my spin up and spin down. And then my last orbital, my last electrons, if I follow the Aufbau diagram, so at the end of the arrow and then I go to the beginning of the next arrow, will be in 2p. So here are my 3 2p orbitals, and then I only have 1 electron in those 3 orbitals. So this is the orbital diagram for boron. Last we'll do together is sodium. Sodium has 11 electrons. So the first 2 will go in 1s, and then the second 2 will go in 2s. And then the next 6, 1, 2, 3, spinning up together, and then 4, 5, 6 will go in 2p. Then I go and check my Aufbau. What gets filled up after 2p? 3s. And so since I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 electrons here, I just need 1 more in my 3s. And so that's how we draw orbital diagrams. So go ahead and add problems 12 through 14 onto your notebook and submit your answers to Schoology.